The murder of Jill Dando, as we all know now, a few days ago, 1st of August 2008, Barry George was cleared of her murder. He walked free from court after 8 years battling to prove that he did not kill the TV presenter Jill Dando. He was questioned over her murder a year after she was killed, which was April 1999. She was a BBC News reader and presenter of Crime Watch.
A year ago today, an unprecedented crime took place which astonished and sickened the whole nation.
And she had been shot through the head on her doorstep in Fulham, West London. Now, of course, when I heard the news that Barry George had been released, it didn't surprise me at all. Although what did surprise me was the fact that finally the British justice system was working, although it took 8 years, and that an innocent man was finally freed. That surprised me. But it didn't surprise me that he was in fact innocent. On the day that Jill Dando was murdered, which was the 27th of April 1999, when I heard this, I had immediate suspicions as to who the killer was, and in fact sent an email to New Scotland Yard on that day telling them of my theory as to the killer and why, the motive. Anyway, as I said, a few days ago Barry George was released, and I saw that there was other people who had exactly the same theory as me, and they had sent an email or comments to Yahoo News concerning this miscarriage of justice. Was it a personal killing or a political revenge assassination? This email was sent on the 1st of August 2008. In 1999, when I heard of this killing, I immediately thought that this must have been a political assassination in revenge for the attack by NATO on the television centre in Belgrade. I think, if I remember the chain of events, NATO had taken the decision to bomb the Milosevic-controlled TV centre in Belgrade, as Milosevic relatives had had a stake in that TV company. Could they have ordered a revenge killing? And since Jill Dando was a prominent and much loved and admired TV presenter at the BBC, might not that have been a reasonable target for revenge killing against British involvement in the bombing of Belgrade's TV centre? I do not wish to sound like a conspiracy theory advocate, but the notion I have stated above had come to me instantly upon hearing of the killing, at a time when I had heard of the bombing of Belgrade's TV centre. On the proviso that Jill Dando had never had a hidden personal secret, I am still convinced in my own imaginative and instinctive mind that her killing was the work of the Belgrade Secret Service at the time of the war against Serbia.
This Easter weekend, we've all become aware of the humanitarian crisis facing the Balkans as thousands of people from Kosovo have left their homes and arrived on the borders of neighbouring countries. This is a massive exodus. Around 600,000 people are on the move.
I also wrote Yahoo comments. I agree with the suggestion it was an act of political revenge. As soon as I heard about the murder of Jill Dando, I suspected it was a Serbian hit. I even sent an email to New Scotland Yard stating my theory. They did reply, but then they seemed to have not followed it through, and instead, as usual, the wonderful British police set about fitting up an innocent man because they couldn't be bothered to do any real detective work. Despite the fact that we come from the land of Sherlock Holmes and Agatha Christie, etc., we nearly always, especially if it has a political dimension or to do with fighting terrorism, take the easy option of simply plucking an innocent off the street and fixing the evidence or forcing a confession. Need I mention Guildford 4, Birmingham 6, Maguire 7, Tottenham 3, etc. The examples of gross British injustice are legion, and all because the police are pressured by the government and mass media to put bodies in the frame. It's a disgrace, and it can only get worse with all the new so-called anti-terrorist laws our police state is demanding. This is the email that I sent to New Scotland Yard on the 27th of April 1999 at 10:36 to new.scotland.yard at gtnet.gov.uk. I don't know if they still have that email address, they probably don't. Subject: possible motive for Dando's murder. You may well have already thought of this or had others suggest it to you. I have a theory that Dando's assassin was sent by Serbian authorities in retaliation for the NATO attack on the Serbian television studios. If this is the case, Dando was probably selected as a target because she was on the front cover of this week's Radio Times, drawing attention to her enormous popularity with the British viewers. Well, in half an hour, in less than half an hour, I actually got a reply from New Scotland Yard, and I have that on record. From New Scotland Yard, sent 27th April 1999 at 11:04. Dear Nabil, interesting actually, they missed out the re. Yeah, I wonder if they deleted it on purpose. Interesting. You know, normally when you send an email and you get a reply, the subject heading would have subject re, and in my case it would be re, possible motive for Dando's murder. However, New Scotland Yard's reply to me, it's just got the re. So they didn't want their reply to have a reference to what I was saying. Interesting. They were covering themselves, obviously. So, New Scotland Yard, 27th April 1999, 11:04. Dear Nabil, thank you for your email, which will be passed to the murder squad. Yours sincerely, WWWNSY. That's New Scotland Yard. That's their acknowledgement of my suggestion. What do they do about it? Looks like nothing. At least all that happened that we know of is that an innocent man was put in prison for 8 years and has finally been released. You can't say that New Scotland Yard never had the idea put to them, because I wrote to them and there's the proof.